I'm Dr. Harold Wong, and today we want to cover an article that I published in the Arizona Republic on January 18th, 2012. And the topic is basically how seniors are susceptible to investment and financial scams. Now let's just go to the data. According to the FBI Common Fraud Schemes webpage, senior citizens especially should be aware of fraud. People who grew up in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s are usually polite and have trouble saying no to someone on the phone. And also they're susceptible to questionable or fake credentials. Now let's go right to the numbers. According to a recent survey by Bob Webster, Director of Communication of the North American Securities Administrators, senior investment fraud accounts for nearly 50% of all complaints received by state securities regulators. This is up from 28% in 2005. So in only a few years, the complaints of seniors being scammed has doubled. Here's some of the conventional wisdom in protecting yourself from fraud, and then we're going to give you the Dr. Wong analysis. If you go to any state securities regulator website, it all says, check to see if that person is properly licensed. Say, as a stockbroker, insurance agent, realtor, whatever. Here's the Dr. Wong analysis. I think that's a lot of BS. We know most of the financial fraud has been committed by people that had licenses. Now let's talk about Bernie Madoff. He was the chairman of the NASDAQ exchange, and he put a scam involving multi tens of billions that lasted for decades. So I don't think that proves anything at all. The next thing on the state regulator's website is they say maybe you should do business with a large firm. Here's the Dr. Wong analysis. The biggest frauds have been committed by the largest firms. You can look at the fines. Goldman Sachs was fined over $500 million. You just Google it, and whether it be the big banks, the big mutual funds, the big Wall Street firms, you'll see all of them been fined many times. In fact, some cynics would argue that's how they got that big, by basically squeezing money, extra profit, and in fact, maybe even cheating the rest of us on Main Street. So the Dr. Wong analysis says that doesn't make any sense at all. So how do you avoid being scammed? Well, one, and this is hard to say, but it's probably the most important thing I have to say to avoid being scammed. Don't be greedy. If it sounds too good to be true, usually, not always, but usually it is. So that's number one. Don't be greedy. Two, research investment. If you can't understand what it is, don't invest in it. Famously, Warren Buffett avoided the dot-com boom and also the dot-com crash because he didn't invest in technology stocks. 15 years ago, they thought he was an old fuddy-duddy and time had passed him. They asked, well, why didn't you invest in that? You're missing out on all these profits on these internet stocks. He says, I don't understand what these technology companies do, so I'm not going to invest. Instead, he owns Dairy Queen, See's Candy, Scholl Brothers, stable companies and stable industries. Hey, we always need ice cream and snacks, particularly in a recession. Next thing, use the internet and check. Has your advisor or financial planner or insurance agent or whoever is helping you with money, are they an expert in their field? Have they published articles? Have they spoken to major trade groups? And most importantly, have they trained other advisors? Give you an example. If you're thinking about hip replacement surgery, you want a very established surgeon that's done it hundreds if not thousands of times. But even more impressive would be if you found out that the hip replacement surgeon that you picked has trained hundreds of other surgeons to do that specific operation. You'd feel comfortable. And finally, what I want to say is that your financial health should be as important as your physical health. Health and wealth together work together. Well, that's all for today. If you want to read more, go to my blog site, drwonginvestorguide.com.